How you doing these days? Is there a whole lot going on? Maybe some around you, maybe some in you, kind of trouble, trouble, trouble. Nothing but trouble. Jesus said, in this world you're going to have trouble, but take heart because I've overcome the world. We see in Psalms that David is in trouble all the time. He's crying out to God from his places of trouble. We see that Jesus is basically always in trouble. His circumstances are full of trouble in his life. Well, how should we handle trouble? Should we kind of hope and pray that it goes away? That's what it seems like most of us do. That's even what fills, honestly, a lot of our prayer meetings. Do we try to avoid trouble and hope that we can stay far away from it? Or do we resist it? What do we do? Well, let me throw out some words that are really synonyms for trouble, and I want you to just kind of experience them for a moment. Trouble, hardship, challenge, trial, difficulty, predicament, tribulation, persecution, discomfort, pain, grief, loss. We experience all of those things, but we have to determine what we're going to do with them. Do we avoid them and try to keep away from them to prevent them from occurring in our life? Or maybe we resist them. To resist means to exert oneself as a kind of to counteract or to defeat what's coming at us. Do we press through? Those are the three things I'd like to spend a little bit of time on: avoiding, resisting, or pressing through. In Scripture, in the words of the Bible, we want to avoid sin or temptation, the paths of evil in our life. We don't want to resist sin. We don't need to resist sin. Jesus resisted sin, it says in Hebrews 4, with his blood. He resisted sin to the point of shedding blood both in the Garden of Gethsemane and on the cross. He resisted and took care of sin. He overcame sin. We don't need to do that. We want to avoid it, and we want to rely on his work. Well, we also, at times, need to press through things. And that means to move ahead, to move through them, to advance. We're going to persist till the point of advancing or breaking through by force. Another way to understand the pressing through is to outlast it. You're going to stay in there. You're going to outlast it. You'll press through it to that point of breakthrough. You can finish and see the thing all the way through. See, that list that I gave you earlier is mainly about press through things. But so what do we do when we face trouble? Here's the 3 steps I want to encourage you to do. First of all, identify the kind of trouble or difficulty you're facing. That means you're going to need to experience it a little bit. You're going to have to sit with it. Don't react too quickly. When we react too quickly, we usually make bad decisions. But what we want to do is identify the kind of trouble that we're facing. We're going to then discern it, discern our response to it. Is it an evil path or a temptation towards thoughts or actions that we would consider to be sinful, such as gossip or extremes that are going to cause us a hassle or cause other people a hassle or temptation? If that's the case, we're going to avoid it. So that trouble might be something to be avoided if it falls in those categories. But it could be instead something that is really a demonic force coming against us. See, Scripture describes that we're to resist the devil. It says, to resist the devil in James 4, he will flee from you. It says in 1 Peter 5 that the devil's like a roaring lion seeking someone to devour. Resist him, standing firm in your faith. So we want to resist things coming at us, particularly demonic forces. We want to stop them and break them and win. But much of life, we need to press through. We need to stand up under it. and to outlast it. Things like trouble, hardship, challenge, trial, difficulty, predicament, tribulation, persecution, discomfort, pain, grief, loss. Those are things we press through. We press through. We endure through them. We respond with God's wisdom and authority and endurance. So my question to you today is the kind of trouble that you're facing. What is it? Is it something of a temptation to avoid? Is it something that you need to resist? It's a force coming against you that you need to break and win over? Or is it something you need to persist, that you need to endure? You need to press through it. What kind of trouble are you facing? And most importantly, once you have identified it and discerned it, what are you going to do? What is your plan? Well, you're going to face trouble. I want to encourage you, don't run from it. Experience it, identify it, discern it, and choose wisely. Have a great weekend and keep pressing through in power and the authority of God. Bye-bye.